I decided to end my modeling career and started my journey in cryptocurrency.
Everyone trades the way they want. So if you're watching this interview right now, sitting on a beautiful white throne,
Was a really dumb trader who would just see a call and jump in without thinking.
there were times when you'd open a trade, Trump would come out, say meow, and that's it. You'd get liquidated.
Me, that's only a plus.
So to speak, it's like an emergency brake appears that presses down on you itself. Is it possible to move into traditional trading after losing $3,000 on a token launch? And then flipping NFTs on Solana and topping it all off with a sauce of meme tokens? As always, this is Igor Fox. You're on the Upscale channel, and here, thanks to prop trading, this becomes possible. Prop trading is a model where you get capital to manage, and then you can withdraw up to 90% of the profits for yourself. Let's go. And now, right now, we're getting started. Hello, Nikita. Hello. Why are you a cube? No.
I don't know, I was just scrolling through Twitter. I saw someone with a similar nickname and decided to make mine like that.
So right away, I can say that you're a copy trader, young man. Wow.
It's partly true, but it was some no-name account. There weren't any followers.
So you're a copy trader who didn't have any followers yet. You steal nicknames, you copy trades, and at the same time, you're doing an interview with us. What was your withdrawal amount in dollar terms?
About 300, 320, and since 80% was available for withdrawal, I got 266, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in that range. Around $260. And
Over what period?
over 2 weeks. In the first 2 weeks, my withdrawal was about $600, but I decided to do, so to speak, a demo withdrawal. I withdrew $10 and thought, well, okay. I kept trading, the withdrawal worked, everything was great. After that, I ended up losing those $600. It was something like minus 4,800, if I'm not mistaken. And after that, I made 320, which then lasted for the next 2 weeks.
Got it. Okay. I hear you, young man. And on which account did this happen?
5,000. And
Which account are you trading on now?
50.
50. So are you comfortable managing that kind of money to throw it into trading without any guilt? Or does that seem impossible to you?
Of course, that's why I'm here. I haven't had any experience handling such large amounts before, let's put it that way. That's why there's an upscale.
Yes, that's right. We really do have an upscale. And everything you've just heard is possible thanks to prop trading, where you can manage from $5,000 to $200,000 without risking your own capital, trade, and withdraw up to 90% of the profits. Nikita had an account at 80%, but nothing is stopping you from making it 90%. So if anyone's already interested, you know what to do. Nikita, I didn't even ask your name, how old you are, where you're from, or what you do in life. So let's fix that now. All right, so what's your name? How old are you? Where are you from? And what do you do besides trading? My name is.
Nikita, I'm 24 years old. I'm originally from Russia, but I rarely go there. Over the past couple of years, I've only spent a few months there in total. I used to work as a model for 6 years, but I'm not sure if it's fortunately or unfortunately I quit because I realized I needed to move on and there was no future in it. Especially now with new technologies, IT, and a global crisis, including in China. Since I mostly worked as a model in Asia, I really felt it in China. So I decided to end my modeling career and move on to something else. Something where I could work from anywhere in the world. So I started my journey in cryptocurrency. And
Can you show us something on camera? Like, I don't know, flex your biceps like this, Show us how good looking you are. Or is that all in the past now? If it
in the past, especially since I put on, I don't know, about 5 kilos in the last couple of months. Yeah, so there's not much left now.
trade in, you've grown a little belly, and now you just sit there calm and happy.
Well, not exactly calm or happy yet, unfortunately, but that's all still ahead. But the part about growing a belly, that's true.
A well fed man is a happy man. So everything is, so to speak, in its right place. All right, all right. We heard that you used to be a model, but you decided not to give us a workshop or a masterclass. I'm really sad about that. So, look, you already mentioned that you want something remote, something kind of like wow, where you don't have to do anything and the money just flows to you like a river. So, what obstacles did you face along the way? Well, we're on a channel dedicated to prop trading or just trading in general. So, from that, we understand where you ended up. Can you tell us in more detail how your journey unfolded to get to where you are now? And overall, did you like it or not? Maybe there were some more extravagant offers in your life that you managed to turn down?
It was, let's say, tough, and it's been a very long journey because I first learned about cryptocurrency about 4, maybe 5 years ago when I was in Hong Kong. I had an acquaintance there who worked at a burger joint that was connected to cryptocurrency with an Asian exchange called GPEX. Maybe someone has heard of that exchange. And at that time, it was the most popular one in Asia. All of Hong Kong was covered in posters. Really famous people were advertising this exchange, and everyone was super bullish about it. And since he was my acquaintance, I naturally trusted him more. And he was also encouraging a lot of our mutual friends, so to speak, to invest in this exchange and buy their coins during the pre-sale. Because at that time they had one coin that, if I'm not mistaken, did a 10x from the pre-sale. At that time, they released a second coin. There was also a pre-sale, and I invested around $3,000 there and then forgot about it for a long time. Back then, Solana was around 9, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember the price of Ethereum or Bitcoin at that time either. I just recently opened that exchange, but my wallet there is already blocked since withdrawals don't work anymore. And I saw Solana at 9. I was definitely sad. And on my birthday, the unlock of those coins was supposed to happen, and everyone would have been able to withdraw from that exchange, that coin. My birthday comes around, it's April 2nd. I open my wallet, log into the exchange, and I see that money. At that moment, I saw I had $5,000 or $6,000 there. I thought, nice, that's nice. And that's a 2 times from 3,000, why not? I try to withdraw, but for some reason I can't make the withdrawal. I'm surprised, so I message my acquaintance, and he tells me that a criminal case has been opened against that exchange, and all the accounts are frozen. And only after that I find out there was some big scheme going on there. In the end, almost 80 people who were connected to that exchange ended up in jail. And a lot of people fled from Hong Kong to Thailand and other countries just so they wouldn't get arrested. That's how I got into crypto. I lost my first $3,000 in cryptocurrency.
Was that your first investment in crypto?
That's absolutely right.
Is that really how little they pay models?
Well, how should I answer that? Yeah, sometimes it happens.
That happens. All right, I see. So far, it sounds like you should have stayed in modeling.
Well, that was in the past, a long time ago, and of course prices and salaries were higher or lower than they are now. And overall, there was more work back then, too. So after that, I probably didn't do anything for about a year. Well, in crypto anyway. After that, I found out about meme coins on Solana, also totally by chance through Twitter. I decided to give it a try. Everything was going great for me. At that time, I also invested money in a farm. Back then, I thought it was a brilliant project. It was called Apis. I invested about $500. And at its peak, I had three and a half. Well, I could have sold and cashed out around $3,000 too. I remember it like it was yesterday. My girlfriend and I were sitting there looking at the chart. She tells me, "Sell, you fool. You've got $3,500 there. Why are you waiting?" And I kept telling her, "No, these are potential coins. It's the future. I don't know. It's
Just the beginning. It's
just the beginning." Market cap hit.
a new Ethereum.
Yeah, exactly right. Around 20 or 30 million. And after that, everything crashed, and I lost all that money too. But I didn't give up. I kept working with meme coins, trading, and things were going relatively well. Sometimes I lost, sometimes I made money. Then I talked to an old friend, and he showed me what NFTs on Solana were. He had a team, he invited me to join, and we started working on it together. We would mint a collection, buy it for pennies, and of course, sell it for more. That went on for about 6 months, maybe. That's when I made the most satisfying money for myself, specifically in crypto. After that, NFTs died out and disappeared, so I started looking more into futures trading. But at that time, I was mostly just trading calls. I didn't sit down and analyze charts. I was a really clueless trader who would just see a call and jump in thoughtlessly, absolutely without thinking. And there were times when I made money, but then lost even more afterward. After that, I realized I needed to change something. At the same time, I could feel that my modeling career was coming to an end. So I decided to sit down myself, study, and watch courses. I tried to really dive deep into the charts and actually understand something. At this point, I've been trading for about 5 or 6 months, and now I actually understand some things and make conscious decisions. During this time, I managed to make a 1.5% gain on my deposit. And then I pretty much lost almost everything. After that, I reinvested in Upscale.
With what was left. With,
What was left? That's absolutely right.
yeah, and now here you are recording an interview with us. Honestly, that's quite a journey. So, first, you took part in token launches. You got scammed, then you moved on to flipping NFTs, probably grinding for whitelists, hanging out in Discord, buying all that stuff on places like, I don't know, Magic Eden, for example. Then that all died out too. And after that, you decided it was time to get into trading. Honestly, your journey has been pretty eventful. So basically, you lost money in one place, made some in another, lost again in a third, and earned in a fourth. Where are you actually headed with all this? What do you want?
I want stability. I want to understand things better because there's always room to grow. But first and foremost, stability, of course, so that this could be my job because I believe trading is a real job here. Of course, there's always a place for gambling because honestly, most traders do gamble. But if you get the hang of it, understand the charts better, keep up with the news, and really grasp what's going on, I think you can make a solid living from this, just like a regular job, except you don't have to spend 8 to 10 hours a day, just a couple of hours. Absolutely.
Of course.
It could be even more. Just analyzing a single chart doesn't take up your whole day, and you're at home or wherever is comfortable for you while you do it.
In other words, stability comes from having a job. And if your job takes less time, why not get that stability in a shorter amount of time? And trading, at least the way you see it, offers exactly that opportunity. Yeah,
It gives you more freedom overall. By
can't disagree with that for one simple reason. You really can just sit in the bathroom, open up your chart, do this, like, okay, got it. Okay. Set your stop loss, take profit, move things around, place your order, and that's it. You know, there's a saying, but unfortunately, I can't say it out loud. Everyone trades the way they want. Usually, there's a different word used instead of trades. I
I think everyone gets it, but
Everyone trades the way they want. So if you're watching this interview right now, sitting on a beautiful white throne, holding a papyrus from a messenger, peeking out from it, or just reading the label on an air freshener, just know you're not the only one.
All right.
All right, Nikita. Nikita, that sounds amazing. I also heard you mention copy trading. So first, you copy traded Cubic, which is actually your username, KUBKKK. Then you copy traded trades. I don't even know what else you're going to copy trade, but I have another question. You said that when you got into NFTs, something interesting happened to you by the end of that career. So I'm curious to hear, what was your most significant trade?
girls, there was the A16 collection at that time. It wasn't an official collection, but the creator of the coin, who was also mentioned, Dev, said at the time that whoever made an NFT collection in 24 hours, he would support it. And one influencer managed to make a collection. I don't remember the supply, I don't remember the exact details and specifics. It was probably about a year and a half ago, somewhere around that time. He released the collection. And at that moment, my whole team, the one I was in, they were trying to grab it both manually and using software. I was sitting almost in the same room in the same house. I got as close to the router as possible, asked my girlfriend's mom. I was sitting there on my phone. They had laptops and tablets. Everyone was trying to mint this collection manually. And I did it. I managed to get this collection by hand, while none of my friends could get it, even using software. Somehow I just got really lucky. I held on to that picture for quite a while. It's ATH. I might be wrong, but it was around 10 or 20 SOL, which at the time was nice, about $2,000 or $3,000. And the biggest advantage of this collection was that if you were a holder, you got whitelisted for all the major collections on Solana that were coming out. And you could mint these collections through the whitelist, so you were among the first in line, and of course, at prices lower than the public sale.
So, everything we've been talking about is trading with your own hard earned money, however, you made it. But right now, we're on a channel about prop trading. So, why did you decide to choose prop trading for yourself? Did you have any skepticism about it? Maybe you thought it was all a scam, or maybe you were like, oh, my friend told me about it. He withdrew $10,000, so I jumped in with both feet too.
Well, I can start by saying that a lot of people, a lot of traders, say things like, give me $10,000, give me $100,000, give me $50,000, and I'll make a profit and I'll make some nice returns for myself. But in reality, there's this great opportunity like Upscale, because I had heard about things like this before, but I was very skeptical and didn't really see it as a potential opportunity. And at first, when I joined Upscale, I wasn't really confident about it. I wasn't sure it was actually real, that it wasn't a scam, that it was actually something meaningful. That's why the first time I bought an account for $5,000 because I decided, I don't know how to put it exactly, to take a risk. It's not that, but just to try starting with the smallest possible investment. After that, I started hearing more positive things about Upscale. Collaborations with different influencers started happening, which also gave more support and confidence in this product. And now I'm convinced, at this point, it's definitely the number one platform in the CIS. I only know a few prop firms, and Upscale is one of them.
That's nice to hear because Upscale is involved not only in the digital space, but also at offline events. I think if you spent more time directly in the CIS region, you might have seen an Upscale booth. But even in places like Dubai or Singapore, you could have seen that logo in front of you too. All right, fine, fine. It's nice to hear. It's always nice to hear that. And really, it all comes together naturally because Upscale cares about its audience, about its traders. We constantly organize contests, we conduct interviews, and all our documentation is absolutely transparent. If you follow the links in the description, you'll find docs.upscale.trade and you'll open it and think, wow, are these really all the rules? Yes, those are all the rules because in many other firms, you open up these huge, thick sheets of user agreements with rules about what you can and can't do. Upscale doesn't have anything like that. I think that's exactly what works in our favor. And if you did click on the links in the description, there's also a link to Upscale itself, so you know what to do. So you've already said what caught your attention, how you came to Upscale, and why you thought it was all cool and awesome. Now, I want to say cool and awesome to you too for your trading strategy review. So you show me this, and I'm just shocked. How could anyone even come up with something like this?
All right, let's do it.
All right, let's go. How would you describe your trading style? Is it swing trading, scalping, or something else interesting? I
Mainly trade scalping deals. A few hours, a day at most. Sometimes it's a day and a half or somewhere in that range. But if I had the chance, I'd trade swing positions. You wait for months or weeks, set wide stop losses and wide take profits, and just wait and watch. But since I don't have that opportunity, right now I'm trading scalping deals. Here is one of the specific trades that I opened earlier this morning on XBAR. It actually almost hit the take profit level. I decided to set the stop loss just below these recent lows, right next to these previous ones. It was just a quick little scalp trade during the day. I thought it made sense to take it. And so far, at this point, it's already made about $500 since I closed part of it when we were a bit lower.
And
It's working out. I also opened Ethereum at night. I was drawing charts, and in fact, it worked out the same way. My stop was hidden, actually really low. Right here, even lower. My stop was at 1769. That's roughly in the 141 to 161 Fibonacci zone. Since we reached the Fibonacci zone, I thought it made sense to bounce off this area and go higher, which is exactly what we did. My entry point was around these levels at 1840, and I closed it at 1920. I didn't hold it long enough.
I want to interrupt you here for a second. So, right now, we're breaking this down, and I always enjoy seeing a trader who has an open position during the interview and it's still showing a positive unrealized P&L, and he's telling us right now why that happened. But let's imagine a situation where, say, your friend John comes to you and says, "Man, Cube, KKK. Can you show me how you analyze a chart? I heard there's something called bacon or Bitcoin. Can you do that? Or have you never even heard of it?" So the question is as follows. First, which asset do you start your analysis with? Do you have a leading coin, or what do you trade the most? I mean, maybe it's altcoins, or maybe it's something more fundamental. For example, Ethereum is also considered an altcoin, but its market cap is a bit different in terms of volume. Which coin do you feel most at home with? And what do you do when you're looking at a completely blank chart?
I'd like to say in advance that since I still consider myself a beginner and don't really understand everything, I basically understand all the terminology, but it's hard for me to speak this language fluently. So I'll try to express myself a bit more simply. But yeah, my day starts with checking Bitcoin overall, just to get a sense of what's going on that day. Also, right now it's February 25th, and the month is about to close. If we look at the bigger time frames, like the monthly chart, we've dropped a lot this month, just like last month. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months of decline. We started this month around $78,000. This month, we've dropped by 24%. This month, I don't think it makes sense to buy all this back. It's better to wait for a bit lower. Overall, I don't see any growth this month yet. That's just something I keep in mind. I really like Fibonacci, trading with it. Here we have the chart, 4-hour time frame. We can plot Fibonacci from these lows to these, from the most recent ones, from the break line. And as we can see, our chart hit the 141 to 161 level, which is considered the strongest. And after that, a reversal happened. And if you look at what happened before with Bitcoin overall, this works very often. And I believe the Fibonacci chart is one of the strongest indicators, working in 80 to 90% of cases. That's why it makes sense that if we come into this zone, touch it, and bounce off, you can consider taking long positions. Again, just small ones. I'm not saying that we could go up to $72,000 or $75,000 anytime soon. No, it's been really hard for me to trade over the past month, probably. You can see that from my prop account results. Because right now, at this moment, I'm in the red. Recently, my loss was at 9.5%, but luckily I managed to get back to almost break even. Right now, I'm down about 3%, around minus 3%. This market has been really tough for me over the past month. It's hard to read.
I want to give a little hint. In a recent interview on Upscale, we had a young guy, 19 years old. You might have already seen that interview, and he managed, using RSI, Fibonacci levels, and chart patterns, to withdraw $41,000 from Upscale over the course of a year. So now I see another young guy in front of me who also uses Fibonacci. Maybe you also use RSI. Maybe you use chart patterns too. And I have a feeling we'll be seeing you again on our show. What do you think? By the way, for those who haven't seen that interview, Somewhere right, it's hard for me. A card for that interview will pop up somewhere over there. Yeah. What do you think? What do you think? Do you only use Fibonacci or do you use something else too?
No, of course not. I also use volume because we can see that this rally is actually happening without strong volume. It could easily be absorbed. We still haven't broken this line. We haven't broken out. So our structure is still bearish at the moment. We can see, if we plot it, how it goes down, up, down, up, down, up. Our short structure hasn't been broken at all. And to break this short structure, we need to at least, ideally, reach $69,000 for Bitcoin.
Until
That happens, I believe our structure is still downward, and we could easily keep falling all the way to 58 to 59 and take out this low.
that is exactly the specific area where all of the trading volume has accumulated if you take a close look at the horizontal diagram bars shown from below.
Absolutely right.
You specifically studied Bitcoins. As I understand it, your analysis is similar for other coins too.
Well, in any case, almost everything depends on Bitcoin. Wherever Bitcoin goes, 98% of all coins follow. I also like Hype and Aster because of how they held up during Bitcoin's correction. When Bitcoin was falling, Hype just kept growing. Now, if I see these, if I'm not mistaken, it was during this period. Hype showed a massive growth of up to 50 to 70% from this breakout line and then started to correct, just like Aster. If we take a look, these are just my favorite coins. So if we mark this zone, Aster isn't dropping. When Bitcoin dropped to $62,000, Aster didn't really care. It only lost a minimal amount, like 5% down, 8% down, and in fact, nothing really bad happened with this coin. It was holding at 0.7 and it's still holding there. Yeah, there were these dumps too, which mostly happened without any news, even when Bitcoin was just staying flat. But I think this coin has a future because it's very similar to Aster, to Hype.
Yeah, they're basically in the same category. They're DEXs. And considering how Hyper has worked on its interface and launched it, well, they're basically implementing all of this on their own blockchain. Given how Hyper in turn is working on its own infrastructure, your interest in both Hyper and Aster makes perfect sense, since both of them are decentralized exchanges. So I totally get where you're coming from. This trend is perfectly clear. Again, this is not individual investment advice. Thank you. You basically explained that you start by looking at the weekly time frame to see the overall trend, then you move to the 4-hour chart, draw the Fibonacci levels, and check what kind of local structure is forming right now, whether it's bearish, bullish, or just moving sideways in a range, not really showing any clear direction or what to do next. I got all that, okay. You also pay attention to volume, but that's not everything you need for a trade. I think that over the course of your, let's call it trading career, you've developed a set of rules for when you won't open a trade. For example, I won't open a trade until I've petted my 3-legged toad, the Chinese one. Or I won't open a trade if I didn't have my morning coffee today. Or I won't open a trade because there wasn't a GM on Solana today. GM on Twitter. So I'm curious, do you have a checklist like that? A checklist that would stop you from opening the trade?
Well, that's an interesting question because I try to take care of my mental health when it comes to trading. I believe that without mental health, without feeling okay in your own head, it's actually very risky to open any position at all. You also need to have a plan. For example, if you hit two or even just one stop loss in a day, everyone's different, then you shouldn't open another position because you'll just be acting on FOMO, trying to erase that loss or at least break even, and you'll end up chasing it. And by doing that, you could end up losing even more money. That's something I struggle with too, and face pretty often. I don't consider myself some kind of really great trader or someone who understands a lot. I make a lot of mistakes. I make a ton of mistakes. I let them happen, but every day I try to get rid of these habits. But here are a few reasons why I don't want to open trades, for example, on weekends, because the market usually just stands still then. There's no movement and no news background. I have to keep an eye on the news, what Trump is going to say, what's happening in the world, and I don't always feel like opening positions. Like when the Fed is about to make an announcement in an hour and you know the market's going to swing both ways, your stop loss could get hit in a split second, and then the price could move in your favor, even though you originally thought it would go the other way. So, one of those reasons is the news.
That sounds pretty accurate. I mean, I have absolutely no doubt about what you're telling us. It's just that lately, yeah. Yeah, if you're not keeping an eye on Trump, chances are you might find yourself in for a wild ride at some point. There's a common belief that the market used to be technical, but now it's turning more into a show media business where even gold and silver can lose 13 to 27% of their market cap in just 1 hour. Where else have you ever heard of a safe haven asset behaving like that? And it's all because Trump appointed himself a new Secretary of the Treasury. Again, I'm not sure if that's exactly how it is, but it's pretty close to the truth. He decided to make the dollar great again. And after that, we saw that kind of reaction in those same metals. But nothing's stopping the young Mr. President from doing the same thing with cryptocurrencies. There were times when you'd open a trade, Trump would come out, meow, and that's it. You got liquidated.
More than once. More than once. There were times when hopes were going one way, but there were also positive moments. Like when I'd go short, open a short position, and Trump would say something nasty that made the coins drop. Just like it could go the other way, too. All kinds of things happen. But overall, you really have to be careful and pay close attention at times like these and keep an eye on the speeches. Also, keep an eye on the news. There's a certain website, I'm not sure of the name, but I'm subscribed to all sorts of Telegram channels that post news about what's coming out today or during the week. I follow this very closely about unemployment, about oil, and other things too. Different indicators can come out during the day that can make the market drop and fall. And you have to be ready for anything and also keep an eye on this news. Not necessarily from Trump, but from America in general.
I think we've covered your trading strategies. If you want, you can continue later on. That's not forbidden. Now, I suggest we move directly to Offscale, where you'll tell us how many challenges you took, what trades you opened, and when you wanted to just send it all to hell, and all that kind of stuff. And I see a red picture, and I don't know how to react to that. I mean, I've already been recording this interview with you for quite a while, several dozen minutes, and I see that you're in the red. Why should we keep going? Why? Where's the $5,000 account?
I don't really have an explanation for that. There was a period when I was moving, packing up all my things from China, and I was supposed to fly to Russia. I had a ton of suitcases, and there was still a lot left to do in China. I was way too confident in myself when it came to trading. I jumped into every position you could say, head first, without really analyzing them much. And when I bought a $50,000 challenge account, I thought it was a $5,000 challenge. I was going to use, or rather, my previous $5,000 account that was already funded, I thought I'd use it just for fun. Yes, yes, no, no. And as a result, I blew it really fast. Literally, just a couple of days after I bought that $50,000 challenge account. And right when I bought it, the market suddenly got really tough. It became really hard for me to analyze the market. And situations like this started happening. I can show you. Let's open it up. Here's my position on ZEC. So I had a position on ZEC. We can take a look. I had my stop loss set at 230. Exactly 230. If we look, it touched. No, not here. It was at this moment, 229.7. And that was the lowest point, after which we went up just fine. At this point, I would already be in a small profit, up a couple percent, about 1.6% in the green. I've had a lot of trades like this, where market makers would just chase my stop losses and then turn the market around right after. I'm convinced that's exactly how it all happened.
Yeah, well, what I wanted to say is that yes, Upscale really does pass information to the main market makers. And so they look and go, okay, Nikita's stop loss is set right here. All right, let's load up some volume here and take him out. Yeah, that's exactly how it goes, no doubt. It's not here, but for the video, I'll say it. Yes, that's exactly what we do.
I made a lot of mistakes because I was really busy in real life. There were a lot of problems, a lot of things to do, and trading on top of that. I should have put it on the back burner and not touched anything because the market was tough. I had so much going on, and unfortunately, I tried to fit it all in. And at the peak, I had a deposit in my account, specifically 45,600. Unfortunately, we won't be able to see that here. Yeah, that was earlier, but that's how it was. I was down 9.5% on this challenge, but I managed to recover most of it. There's still a bit left to recover, 3%. Last night, I had some good positions open. If we take a look, it was Ethereum, which I closed, I mentioned it earlier. There was also C. I probably closed Ron as well. And XBAR, which I'm still holding right now. I think it'll go even higher because my take profit is set at almost 1.02. So I'll close half and then keep holding the rest with a stop at break even.
Of course, we just talked about the negative stuff, about what you went through move in, problems, and all that. But let's switch to something more pleasant. Let's go to the tools section, open up the certificate, and see what's going on there for you. Let's take a look at this beauty right here. It says here, that Kub got himself $5,000, funded my accounts, and there were even two certificates. Show us the most beautiful one, worth a whole $8. Can you imagine?
As I mentioned earlier, because I didn't really trust Upscale that much, unfortunately, I regret that now because at that time I could have withdrawn $610 to $620, somewhere in that range. But I decided to do a test withdrawal and took out $10. I got $8, and then, as I already said, just to repeat, I lost. I got carried away and lost those $600. And after that, I withdrew 320, and since I had 80%, I managed to withdraw 266. And I hope that in the future, I'll have new certificates where another zero will be added to that 5,000. And it would be nice to see another zero added to these numbers too.
I'm more than sure. Can I ask you to open it again? The certificate for 8? I just really like it. It's very nice looking. And I want to point out that actually it wouldn't just be for nothing. Because, as we already know, you spend a significant part of your conscious life in Asia. In China, Hong Kong, and everything else is nearby. And as far as I know, in Asia and China in particular, the number 8 is considered a lucky number. So think of your first certificate for 8 as, let's say, your good luck charm for continued success. It's strange that you never thought about it, because when I was in Hong Kong, I bought what I thought was a liter of Coca-Cola. I pick it up, look at the bottle, and it says 888. So I'm like, okay, either I got scammed out of 112 milliliters, or the Chinese really do love that number that much.
Yeah, because it's all about the sound. The number 8 in Chinese sounds like, well, I don't remember the exact word, but it sounds like some really good word in Chinese. That's why when many Chinese people give red envelopes, which are gifts with money inside, the amounts are usually based around the number 8, like 188, 1888, and so on.
8 in Chinese sounds similar to the word for getting rich or amassing wealth. Because of this phonetic similarity, the number 8 is considered the luckiest number in Chinese culture, symbolizing prosperity, success, and wealth. Can you imagine that? And also, 88 visually looks like the symbol for happiness. And in Chinese culture, people prefer to use the number 8 in phone numbers, floor numbers, and even license plates. Plus, the number 8 is symmetrical and looks like the infinity symbol, which also gives it a positive meaning. And Feng Shui, as the artificial intelligence Gemini from Google Chrome says. At this point, I want to ask, when you first withdrew $8, you had one member, jokingly, who was right for $5,000, and you found him right away. Great, great. Can you roughly say how much time you spent on the first phase, the second phase, and the funding stage to withdraw those 8 lucky dollars?
Yeah, I can even show you, not just tell you. On November 26th, I bought the $5,000 challenge. So on December 3rd, I passed the first phase, and on December 29th, I passed the second phase and moved on to the funded account. Exactly. And then, exactly 2 weeks later, I made a withdrawal of $8. That's how long it took me. So it took about a month and a half. But I also had some setbacks on this account too. There were times when I was down about 9%. That was between the first and second phase. I finished the first phase, and in the second phase, one had a really long losing streak, but I managed to get out of it and made it to the funded account. After that, I made one withdrawal, then another, and decided to buy myself a $50,000 account because if you make 5%, let's say, even on a $5,000 account, that's $250. But if you make the same 5% on $50,000, that's already $2,500. That already sounds a lot nicer.
And at the same time, without increasing your risks, because mathematically, everything stays exactly the same for you. I like it. I like the way you break. I fully support it and expect it in that certificates tab. A $50,000 certificate will show up soon. I want to move on to something interesting. We've already discussed the technical aspects, and we've talked about the news updates. We talked about how you withdrew $8 and how that's now your lucky charm for life. In fact, the first question will be dedicated to a different topic: psychology. We already know well that you used to trade with your own money, but now you're trading with the company's money. Has anything changed in your outlook on life? Or is everything still the same as before?
I can say that things have changed drastically because when I was trading with my own money, I felt like there were no consequences. I could easily hit my stop losses, and honestly, it just didn't bother me. I didn't really want to do any kind of post-mortem, so to speak. I didn't want to figure out why it happened. I just lost money, and that was that. But when you're taking on a challenge, it's literally like a game. You don't want to lose, and you want to do your absolute best. So you have to manage your risks. There's a 5% daily limit and a 10% total limit. And for me personally, that's really good. It really helps a lot and makes it easier to control all your risks. You don't end up opening trades for 20% or 30% of your deposit, or even more. Because basically, if you want to trade with large amounts, you always have to stick to it. To strategies like the ones Upscale offers.
It's like there's an emergency brake that puts pressure on you itself, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Do you remember your toughest day in trading? It doesn't have to have been with a prop firm. How would it have been different if it happened at Upscale? Can you tell us about your toughest day?
If it had happened at Upscale, of course, it would have been easier emotionally. Because when you lose large amounts of your own money on the exchange, naturally, you feel down. When you've lost half your deposit because of some mistake or stupidity. Or, again, Trump releases some news and everything crashes. Or what happened on October 10th.
I understand what you mean. You are referring to the events of Bloody Friday.
Exactly right. But I might be confused whether it was October or November. But, well, most likely it was October 10th, and honestly, just some random event can wipe out your entire deposit. That's what happened to a lot of traders, and it's definitely a sad story. And it's really hard to deal with emotionally, but as strange as it sounds, Upscale is a way out of all this, because, say, you lose an account with 50,000. But in a single trade, you might lose a total of $2,500 in a day. But in reality, out of your own money, you might only lose $400. So you can see the difference between $2,500 and $400. And emotionally, it's going to feel a lot easier and less painful. Because, as I mentioned earlier, it's really hard to trade when you're feeling emotionally weak or if something has happened for one reason or another. I
Hope you'll have as few tough days as possible when people ask you about this. Oh, yeah, no problem. 5 years ago, a hamster ran across my keyboard. I lost hundreds of dollars, got liquidated, but that's it. I just kept going, hanging out at my villa in Hawaii. I want to continue with what you shared, that it is emotionally difficult when everything is pressing, but at the same time, if Upscale were there, then at least, firstly, Upscale would not have allowed you to lose so much money, and secondly, even if they had, you would not have been held responsible for it, which is precisely what cannot but please. Let's imagine the situation. A friend comes to you, John number two. We've already had the first John come to us, and now the second John is coming. And the second John asks, so you have a cube, K, K? I don't know how many K that is, but let's say I said it right. Cube KK. So I've lost all my money, but I still want to trade with a lot of cash. I saw Upscale. I saw your $8 withdrawal, and I realized I want the same thing. What would you advise me to do? So I've already gotten myself an account for $5,000, $100,000, even $200,000. As always, everything is available via the link in the description. Just a little reminder for you, just in case. So what would you advise me, Cube? Kaikai? What are the 3 rules? What do I need to follow so I can also withdraw $8?
First of all, don't take on too much risk. That's probably the most important rule. Set stop losses. Not so that you lose 3 to 4% your deposit in a single stop, because that's really tough. You shouldn't lose your account in just 2 or 3 trades. On average, I set my stop losses at this negative level. Half a percent to 1% loss is the maximum. Sometimes I add to my positions, and then it ends up being a 1% loss for my deposit on a single trade. I think that's perfectly reasonable. It's not overexposing myself to risk. But above all, like I said, it's about managing risk management. And honestly, that's probably the most important thing.
Now, here's a real mind-blowing question. What is the biggest myth about prop trading that you've busted through your own experience?
That it's all real and not a scam. Because before, I had a completely different idea about it. And after I tried it myself and saw for myself, I realized that it's all actually possible. And when you basically tell yourself, give me the money and I'll make a profit, here's a great opportunity to realize and show what you're capable of, let's say in trading.
There are plenty of traders who think, oh, I'll get into prop trading, open an account, and make money now too. But they ended up failing. What do you think sets them apart from you and everyone else I've already interviewed? And not just those I've interviewed, because honestly, there are a lot of people who withdraw from Upscale. There are tons of them. I just can't get to everyone.
I think first and foremost, it's emotions. You might hit your stop loss once or twice in a day and decide to try to win it back. You'll increase your risk management and try again, and as a result, you'll end up hitting even more stop losses. For example, Bitcoin will start dropping. During that drop, you'll just open a long position and it'll keep falling. And that's it, your account is wiped out. I think that's what happens most of the time when people just take on too much risk, don't stick to their strategy, and just lose. They lose their accounts, their money, their deposits, their balances, everything you can possibly lose.
General, I agree with you. And if we go back to emotions and keep talking about that, I'm really curious. What did you feel when you saw it? When you saw it hit your wallet? The first Upscale payout? A whole $8?
I was upset, really upset. That was my first reaction because I could have withdrawn a lot more than just $8. On one hand, I was happy because it works and they really do pay out. I saw that for myself. But on the other hand, I was disappointed that I messed up and didn't withdraw everything. 13% profit, but only $10.
8 after the fee is deducted. just to clarify, it's not a fee. It's actually the profit sharing model, where 80% goes to the trader right away and 20% stays with subs. So that's what the market keeps. All right, got it. So, how about the second payout?
That one was a lot nicer. Yeah, I was really happy. My mood was fantastic. After that, I started trading meme coins on Solana.
How come?
Well, it was because I didn't want to make a new deposit just to buy that $50,000 account since I was short $100. So I figured I'd go trade on Solana, make a little profit. I did, came back, and bought a new account while I was still riding that high.
So, you just decided? You beat me to my question, because my next question was, so where did the money go and the girls? Turns out it all went back into reinvestment.
That's absolutely right. I believe that if you're making money, you should reinvest from the source of your earnings. Of course, not the whole amount. On the one hand, a lot of people say you should take some of that money for yourself, buy something, get something to eat, or something like that, gifts, things like that. And of course, I get that. But at that time, I understood that, frankly speaking, it wasn't a huge amount of money and it needed to be reinvested again.
But still, next time you withdraw $88 from your $50,000 account, get yourself a 888 milliliter bottle of Coke. Don't forget to print out your little certificate and put it in your passport. Right? Deal?
Deal, that's exactly what I'll do.
Let's imagine a situation. Nikita's no longer 24, but 34. What would you like to achieve through trading by that age?
That's a tough question about the future, because honestly, that's the main question I have in my life right now. But I'd like to see myself more financially free, more independent. Also, to earn money, I'm not talking about some crazy amounts from trading, of course. It would be great to make millions or billions, as much as possible. I'd love those kinds of numbers, but at least not the bare minimum. But I'd like to have an average income from trading cryptocurrency because I think by that time I'll have a bit more knowledge since right now I've only been seriously working at this for about 6 months. I think that's still a really short period since I started. So I believe everything is still ahead of me, and I'll be able to achieve the goals I've set for myself in trading and in life overall.
The only thing that separates people who have achieved something from those who are stuck in one place is just one thing. And that is, the first group tries, makes mistakes, learns, and keeps moving forward. You take that. And to all the Johns who have watched us, are watching us, and have come to our interviews, I want to thank you and wish you good luck with your 50,000. Again, I'm not joking. I'm waiting on you. A withdrawal of $88, this is important. Besides that, I want to thank you for sharing your experience. And to wrap up our interview, I'd like to hear any final thought from you about anything at all.
First of all, I also want to thank you and Upscale, your whole big team, because it's really awesome to have this kind of integration with the community. Because honestly, I haven't really seen anything like this anywhere else. You communicate, you find things out. You ask traders what to change, what to add. You organize tournaments, you do collaborations with influencers, you try to develop your product. That's really valuable. And you can really see the love you have for your product and that you genuinely care. I hope you'll have great success in the future too, and that with every year things will just keep getting better and better for you. My point is that you shouldn't give up, no matter how many obstacles lie ahead. Losing your first deposit, second, third, fourth, fifth, and so on. You just need to. Losing a deposit, in a way, is a reason to reflect and change your strategy, your worldview, your mindset. Maybe you should spend more time trading on a demo account, just watching the charts, analyzing, and trying to predict what will happen. Don't touch real money. Just keep learning and trying again and again. I believe you shouldn't give up and you should keep moving towards your goals, no matter what it takes.
Hi, Nikita, I'm sure everyone will take your words to heart. At least, I hope so. Anyway, let's wrap up the interview. Show us some sharp model turn, and we'll finish on that note.
It's tough, really tough. No light, nothing. Well,
All right, then. Come on, let's go, let's go. Subscribe to the channel and leave your comments. Likes, hit the bell. What else, Nikita?
share, show your friends, buy our skill.
Before you buy, you're basically buying us out completely. Yeah. See y'all next time. Bye, everyone.